Start with a dream and share it with some friends. The idea deepens and grows. The dream takes shape, it has form and substance. A community soon arose. A listening room, a hearing room, a place to find a home to play. A listening room, the hearing room. Express yourself and have your say. The walls are thin, the sirens blare. The tables sit near folding chairs. The stage is set with paint and glue, and love went into every screw. The light shine bright on every star. They come to play from near and far. The light shine bright on every star. They come to play from near and far. A listening room, the hearing room, a place to find a home to play. A listening room, the hearing room. Express yourself and have your say. Hearing room, a listening room. You're welcome here, so have no fear. The hearing room, the hearing room. Come in, my friend, where art can bloom.
And welcome to the Woodshed Podcast. I'm Aaron Tornberg, and this is the Woodshed Podcast live from the hearing room, except we are not live from the hearing room. We are socially distant. Really, it means physically distant. And so we're recording from homes rather than the actual hearing room. But the hearing room will exist after this is over. And when we can go back to it, we will need to continue to pay our rent. In fact, we need to continue to pay our rent and utilities and everything now. So in order to do that, we have a system of membership. So if you become a member of the hearing room, what that basically means is you get $5 off everything that you would go to at the hearing room. You also get advance notice of any shows that we have that are a little bigger than normal that are going to sell out. You can get first crack at tickets by becoming a member. Membership is not that expensive. It's $100 a year. And if you go to events every week at the hearing room, which a lot of people do, if you go to those events, they are usually $5 each, and it's a suggested donation. But you're kind of making this suggested donation in advance if you become a member. So $100 is very reasonable. And then you also get a T-shirt and a membership card, and you get to know that you are part of the community and you're trying to build this artistic community that we're developing. So please look into joining the hearing room for $100 a year. And the hearing room membership page to do that is at hearingroom.net. It's hearingroom, one word, .net. So you should check that out. And we do have all kinds of events at the hearing room. If you're not familiar with it, you can also find out about our events at hearingroom.net. And we do things like open mics and jams and shows and spoken word evenings. And we have visual artists who adorn the walls with their work. And we have authors who come in. We have all kinds of stuff going on. Please check it out. And my favorite day is Sunday because my open mic is 2 to 5 at the hearing room. And we also have a drum circle. And we have another open mic on Tuesday. And we have the Let's Have Words, spoken word on Wednesday every week. And Thursdays is Mark Alio with the Singin' Jam. And we have a big song party. Everybody plays together. And then Fridays, we're doing all kinds of jams. We had a Pink Floyd open mic a little while ago we were scheduled to do before we had to cancel it. So we will be doing that down the road. We've also had Beatles and Simon & Garfunkel and all kinds of different open mics that are themed. So please check us out. We also want to thank the Greenville Junction Shoppy. The Greenville Junction Shoppy is a upcycling shop. They do upcycling in the sense that they find items that are used and in good shape, and they resell them. They refurbish them, resell them, and, it's a good idea when people throw away perfectly good stuff to reclaim it and use it. It's better than buying new. So if you can do it, the Greenville Junction Shop is a great place to take advantage of that recycling ideal. So if you want to go to the Greenville Junction Shop, it's Greenville, Junktion, SHOPPE, and that is on Facebook Marketplace. You can actually buy your stuff right on Facebook Marketplace, and they will get it to you or tell you where to pick it up. And they're in Greenville, New Hampshire, so that means pretty soon, after a couple months, they will have their store open, and the store will have all the items that they sell on Facebook Marketplace, so you can go pick it up, and you can find out about it on Facebook, and it's a pretty cool place. They also do estate and garage clean out, and the kinds of things they have are tables and computers and furniture, all kinds of stuff, household appliances. So check it out. It's Greenville, JUNKTIONSHOPPE. So today we are talking with Benjamin Bunker. Hi, Ben. How are you doing?
Hey, doing pretty good.
So are you preferring Benjamin or Ben?
I really don't have a preference. Ben for the podcast.
Okay, Ben for the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my son's Benjamin, so, and he's always Benjamin, except everybody calls him Ben, so.
When I work and I have to say my name over the phone, I always say Benjamin, because I feel like when I say Ben, no one ever hears me correctly. They always assume it's Dan or some it'll be a 2-syllable name, and I'm like, I didn't say anything other than Ben. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it sounds good though. I like the name Benjamin. So
Me too.
So where are you from?
I am from Haverhill, Massachusetts. I was born in Lawrence, but moved over to Haverhill when I was 1.5, 2 years old, and lived in Haverhill my whole life up until the last year or so. Right now I live in Roslindale, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how's that different?
Well, I'm still getting my feet wet and trying to find places that have music going on, like live music. There is a coffee shop down at the Roslindale Square that I'm also just really nervous to introduce myself and try to meet new people. But there's a coffee shop in the square that does live music, and they do an open mic comedy once a week. So I'm going to make an effort once we can all go back out and do things in the community to go down there and, talk to people and see about doing an open mic or setting up a show there. Haverhill has so many things going on, especially just on Washington Street. And I really miss all the live music that happens there really every night. Yeah.
Well,
It's
have you been to the Roslindale open mic that's at the Boston School of English?
No, I have not.
That actually is a really big one. You definitely ought to check that one out if you haven't been there yet.
I'm taking notes right now.
Yeah, Boston School of English is where it normally would be. They have, I think they might be not every week. I think they're monthly.
Okay.
But you can check them out at Boston Area Coffee House website. They post all the stuff there, and they actually have contests, and it's more of a folky venue. I know you tend toward folk rock more,
or
rock. So anyway, you should check that out for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like me, or what's the best way to say it? Being in Haverhill and getting to know everybody and feeling more comfortable going out and doing open mics there. Like here in Roslindale, I don't really know people yet. So I feel like I'm a hermit. Like I'll go to work and I'll come home and I'll write stuff and I'll try to record stuff. But I don't know. It's not the same when you can walk down a street and you'll see, 5 people that you just know, and it feels comforting. But trying to change that.
Trying to change the fact you know people, or
trying to get out, introduce myself, and find the music that's happening around here.
Right, trying to know new people. That's what it is.
It's hard.
So why'd you move down there?
Well, me and my girlfriend, she was going to school at Wentworth and was graduating and going to be living back at home, and we had talked about moving in together, and we're currently renting one of the floors of her family's home. It's really nice. I actually have my own where I'm currently recording. We have a recording room that I put together, and I'm very happy with it. I got like the soundproofing on the walls. I have like 2 desks set up with 2 TVs, so I can record. One of the things I'm working on is I'm recording my own like soundtrack score for a movie. So I'm playing one movie on one TV and then doing the scoring on the other. But
so
I'm just very happy to have this room.
Who made the movie? Is it something you made or? Somebody?
No. Sorry. I'm rescoring Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Oh, okay.
Because I really like the music in that film, and every time I watch that movie, and I think a lot of the music that I write just comes from what I'm taking in from that movie as well. So it's a big inspiration on the music that I write.
Oh wow, I should rewatch that one. That was a good movie.
Yeah, I'm hoping to have it all as like one big file. I think the movie's like an hour and 42 minutes long. So I'm going to have it as one big file. I think I'm going to put it on SoundCloud, and that way people can put the movie on mute and then have my version of the score going at the same time.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So where did you get into music? Were you always into it as a younger kid, or?
Yeah, my parents, they bought me a Fender Strat. Me and my brother Fender Strats, and then we had the Spider, the Line 6 like Spider amps. I don't even know when we got those. I think I was 12 or so. And my brother was a pretty big like pop punk kind of kid. So he was always like learning like little riffs here and there, and he definitely inspired or influenced me like in all the music that I listen to now. And I kind of was always, I'm trying to think of the writing style that started early on, but I was learning, your basic chords, and then even now, like I'm starting to actually learn music theory and take lessons. So at the time I was like, oh, this sounds cool. What if I do this? And I was kind of just holding out chords and hearing like how they sound, and experimenting with different chords and how they sound. But to me, it always sounded like I was kind of setting it up to have like a score. Like once again, it just always seemed to come back to like, all right, this is more of an emotion tied to what I'm playing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when you started doing music, the stuff you were doing was a lot of looping.
Yes.
How did you get into looping?
One of my favorite bands is Minus the Bear. And I caught one of their last shows. They stopped touring last year. And both I guess they kind of go back and forth, but the lead and rhythm guitarists, I want to say at this point, they both have two Line 6 DL4 modulator pedals, which has a looping setting on it. I really got into Minus the Bear. Once again, my brother, Gary, introduced me to them. He had their Mano Soloso album, and he would just play it while driving around, and I really got into them and ended up just like anytime their album came out, I had it pre-ordered at Bull Moose. I was like ready to go. But they are big loopers. They will take they'll take a lead in a song, they'll loop it at the beginning of the song, then you hear it played backwards at the end. And when I was hearing the band and how they were forming their songs, I was like, I want to do something just like that. And I started out with, I had the Boss 20, the RC20 XL.
Mm-hmm.
So I was using that as kind of like, here is my rhythm section. And then I decided to, and you can buy them pretty cheap online. I think Reverb, I think the cheapest you could probably get is like $80 or $90 for a Line 6 DL4 modulator. They break all the time. They get dust in them. I feel like they're not built to break, but they definitely get overused. So you can buy a used one for probably the cheapest, $80, $90 used. The most expensive used is probably like $150. Brand new, they're $300, which I think is way too much. These pedals are just expensive no matter what.
So what do they do? What does the modulator do?
So the Line 6 DL4 modulator, it has a bunch of different, I want to grab one right now. So they have a bunch of different settings on them. They're essentially a delay pedal, but it also has different features on it. So you can control the amount of feedback. I don't think it falls under an analog delay. I think it's still a digital delay, but you have a lot of control with what you can do with them. And then if you turn the setting to the looping section, you can loop for, I think it's about somewhere between 30 to 45 seconds. So they give you a good amount of time before it automatically kicks back in and does a playback. But you can loop, you can instantly play back, and then it also has settings on it where you can have it preset, so you can record something, store it, and then you could play it back 2 times faster. And when you play it back 2 times faster, it's usually like an octave up, or you can have it set back where it'll play twice as slow and be an octave down. So there's a lot of ways you can just play around with what you're already creating. And it definitely gets you out of, because I feel that the Boss, the RC20 XL is very limited. It can only record, playback, and then play things in reverse. But the DL4 modulator just like takes an extra step. And it's just a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun writing and recording.
Right.
Especially with that pedal.
And so when you listen to Minus the Bear,
yeah,
you got ideas from their technical stuff that they were doing.
Yeah, I wish I mean I'm still trying to work on like finger strength and technique, but the way, oh my gosh. I'm trying to think of like a song for an example, but a lot of Minus the Bear some of their songs do a lot of like tapping techniques, which I cannot do. Like I am not that good. And even the fact that they'll do like these crazy like tapping techniques and then they'll record them and then they'll play them backwards without even thinking about it. You know, they've done this like a million times. It's just, to them, it's just like whatever. Blows my mind. But I tried writing a couple of songs where like I had a little tapping technique in it and it sounds okay. I'm not that good at it.
What's the advantage of doing that? Like playing it and then playing it backwards. I mean, what is the?
It just creates almost like another layer. So if you were holding out a chord, if you were strumming a chord and just holding it out and you recorded it and played it backwards, you, instead of like hearing the note hit and then fade out, you're just hearing it rise out of nowhere and then stop. Like it rises up and then cuts out. And it creates a whole different sound. Yeah.
That's cool. And the like I tried to get into looping. It's a skill unto itself. It's really not something you can just jump into. So I think you told me once that you watched a lot of YouTube in order to learn how to do this. So this stuff is out there for people to look at and on YouTube.
Definitely. Even for Minus the Bear, I don't think it might be Guitar Center on YouTube, but they have this thing called rig rundowns. And they'll go to a band or an artist before they're going to play a show. And they'll say, hey, like talk about your gear and how everything works. And there's a really good one for Minus the Bear where they go through how they loop, how even before the show, like they are, or even before a song, they will, because one thing about the DL4 modulator is that if it loses power, whatever you just, recorded into it to play back is gone. So before they play a song, the lead guitarist sometimes will have, it's just he has one pedal that will just like reduce the sound so only he can hear it. And what he'll do is he'll set up whatever he needs to have ready for the song. And then he'll kick off like the mute button and then it's already saved on the DL4. So when the song comes up, he'll be ready to like play it in reverse or whatever it is. And it's really funny because the pedal, he has to be able to hear it himself. So like it's muted to some degree and people can like hear what he's preparing to play next because like they know the leads of the song, so people are like freaking out because they know that he's going to play whatever song's coming up. Oh my god, I just lost my train of thought. But yeah, it's a really good rig rundown to watch because he reviews. He has the RC 3 pedal as well, which is a looper, but he uses it to have pre-recorded audio, which is something that I said, hey, I want to do that. And when I do live shows, when I have the 2 pedal boards set up, I have an RC2, which has only 11 banks on it, but then I have the RC3, which has up to 99. And if you use that in conjunction with the Boss FS6 foot switch, without going onto the ground and like touching anything with your hands, you're able to switch between tracks. So that was my technique of being able to play pre-recorded samples without having to go down on the floor and use my hands to like adjust anything. But I still do that because I'll have 2 DL4 modulators, and usually during the end of the set, I'll get on the floor and I'll have usually like a rhythm already playing back on the RC20 XL, and then I'm usually doing playing back some already recorded like lead stuff on the DL4s, and they're playing in reverse, and like the pitch is shifted, and it just makes for something that the audience was not expecting.
Yeah, and I know that you do this thing on a lot of your songs that I heard early on, where you record phone conversations, and you'll put them in as like what you're talking about with the loops, the looper pedal, and so basically you press it and it plays either part of or the whole recording of the phone conversation. Why did you do that? What was it that inspired that?
So there is this band, the Front Bottoms, and they are a big influence of mine when I was first starting out, especially where before I even had the looping gear, anything like that, I was playing an acoustic guitar and I had an iPod where I had pre-recorded audio and I would use my foot just to tap play, pause, skip to the next. Like I would take off my shoes just so I could hit the iPod with my big toe to pause and skip to the next one. But the Front Bottoms have put out multiple albums where they have pre-recorded audio during, I don't want to say a silent part of a song, but during like a break, not even a breakdown, I guess during a slow part of a song. And a lot of it was cell phone voicemail recordings. And when hearing those, I was just, I said to myself, I got to do something like that, because hearing these voicemails, it's not scripted. There's a lot of sadness, and even one of them, I think, is the lead singer, Brian. I'm assuming he was dating somebody at the time and it didn't go so well, but it's a voicemail which sounds like it's someone's father just calling to like yell at him. And telling him like he's like a POS basically, but he put that in the album, and I just thought that was pretty cool. Like he's almost able to admit, I feel like it's him admitting like, hey, maybe I did something wrong, and like here's the proof. But yeah, if folks haven't heard of the Front Bottoms, definitely check them out. Same as Minus the Bear, go check them out. I know the Front Bottoms will be touring, and they've toured with a bunch of big bands. They toured with Brand New. They did a tour with Kevin Devine, Manchester Orchestra. Like all the other bands that I really like, the Front Bottoms have toured with them.
So, why don't we play something? I can either play one of your MP3s you sent me, or something live. What do you prefer?
Let's do the pre-recorded. Let's do Every Day.
Every Day. Okay. So tell us about this song before I play it.
Yeah. So Every Day, I wrote it with the intent of playing it in a band, and I did release it as an acoustic song for the album Managers under Bez, which is my solo project. And then we recorded it as our band Motel Art, and we just put it out this year. We're very late on technology. We've been a band for like 3 years, and we just now have stuff on Spotify. Like we're pretty late to the game. But Every Day was written after a conversation that I had with Eddie, the other guitarist and singer of Motel Art, and he was telling me about a relationship that he was in, and he was telling me, hey, like I try to get my point across, but I feel like no matter which way I talk about things, it's not really getting my point is not getting across. What I'm trying to say is not being received by the other person. And we were talking for a good 45 minutes, an hour at that time. And then he left, and I was like, all right, I'm going to write a song about this. So I wrote the song about that. And then also I work currently in human health services. So I am at this time an essential employee. And the song Every Day is really about kind of, can you promise somebody that everything is going to be okay when everything doesn't seem like it's okay? And I think with my job, that's something that I go into every day, especially with what's happening currently, going in and not really having all of the answers, but still going in and trying to bring hope and some kind of clarity. We'll talk more about my job after the song.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right. So let's hear Every Day.
Okay.
Here we go.
I get tired of the way I work. You told me in different words. Can you keep me safe? 'Cause I'll be sleeping in every day. Tell me what you're afraid of. I fear the movers, they're moving in. Feel the change of subject. I'm the king of losing contact. You were always on the outside, looking in. Can you keep me safe? Can you keep me safe? You were always on the outside, looking in. Can you keep me safe? Can you say it to my face? Can you keep me safe? Can you say it to my face? Can you keep me safe? Can you say it to my face?
So I added in a little audience.
I love
at
it.
the end.
I love it. I wish that was the way it ended. That was okay.
Well, the recording's pretty easy to find. So
Oh my god.
yeah.
Um,
Well, see, that's a new thing I'm doing because what I was doing
Yeah.
is I would clap at the end of so it
oh
was
yes,
like
yes.
one person clapping.
One person clapping.
But now that we're social distant, physical distant anyway, I just decided I had to throw in a big crowd because we haven't been able to go to a big crowd for a while. So
One thing that reminds me of, because Max Shultz, my best friend, when he does his stand up, because he's doing like virtual open mics, other people will mute their microphone out of respect. to hear his set, but he's telling jokes and then just seeing reactions, but not hearing anybody, and it's very awkward.
Well, they should turn on their mics.
I know.
Yeah, or there should be a button where it's like virtual laughter and something like that.
I told him to do that. Like, he should have a laugh button, but then also just do it off time. So like right before the punchline or like a couple seconds after. And oh my God, because I would die. I would lose it. So the album, the EP that we put out for Motel Art, it's called The King of Losing Contact. That song was Every Day. And we recorded it, engineered, mixed it at the Noise Floor by Ryan Stack. And then we sent it over. I'm just giving shout outs. And then we sent it over to have it mastered. Dan Donovan knows this individual, Daniel Flores, who did the mastering for it. And very, very good job. I'm so happy the way it came out.
Yeah, it sounds great. And I mean, I've heard that one. I've heard you do it live, and I like it live too. But it's true to it. It sounds like when you do it live.
Awesome.
And so you're with the band Motel Art now, but initially you were doing solo stuff.
Yes.
How did you meet the guys in the band?
Yeah. For Motel Art, Eddie and I met first, and it was so weird. So Eddie and I both lived in Haverhill, Mass at the time, and we met each other at the Riverwalk Cafe in Nashua, New Hampshire. We both signed up for the same open mic, and I think Eddie went up first and said something along the lines of, "Hey, like, I live in Haverhill, Mass." He was over, what was the name of this street? It's like one of those streets that's right behind Haverhill High School, Brook Street. Yeah. He's like, "Oh, I live over on Brook Street or whatever. I live in Haverhill, Mass." And then I went up right after and said, "Hey, like, I also live in Haverhill, Mass." And he discussed when he was on the mic that he wanted to start a band, that he was looking for folks to like do that with. And then I also said, "Hey, I have a drummer now. It's just me and this other drummer. Like, do you want to get together and try to figure something out?" And originally the band, we kind of went through a couple of drummers, but the original name of the band was the Biscuit Kids. And I wish I could find the recordings, because we did play at the Haverhill Community Television. They had, I don't remember the title of it. I believe it was the Not Your Grandma's Art Party was the name of the event. But we did play there. We played a couple of shows at the Biscuit Kids. And then we did have a falling out with our drummer. I don't know if it's like a thing that happens with drummers in bands, but we went through a couple of drummers, and currently Dan Donovan is our fourth drummer. And when we started to find a new drummer after Abe left the band, we changed the name because Abe's Instagram handle is Biscuit Kiss, which is how we got the name for the Biscuit Kids. So we changed it over to Motel Art, and I had to fight for that name because we went through 100 different names that the band could have possibly been, but I fought for Motel Art. It's an Office reference. I love The Office. Everyone in the band loves The Office. So I was like, can we please just do this?
Did you get the new book?
The new book.
There's a new book about The Office.
Really?
Yeah, it just came out. It's
what?
Called The Office, and it's like interviews with everybody. As an Office fan, it's a must-have. So.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
Because I'm also a fan, so I actually got it. And it's everybody telling the story of how it started and what it was like to be on set and all that stuff.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get this. Okay.
Yeah, it's on Kindle if you want to just get it on Kindle immediately. So
okay, I will do that.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, Motel Art, which episode was that?
Motel Art is in the episode Pam's Art Show. So it's when Oscar and Gil go they walk into the room and they don't see Pam and they're looking at her art. And we actually use this sample at the beginning of our sets because it kind of introduces the band. So before we usually go into our first song, The Flea, we'll just be playing like a couple of chords that are in The Flea, and then we'll play the opening sample, which is Gil and Oscar talking back and forth. And Gil says, like on Van Gogh's first try, he drew the hands of the peasants. And then Oscar says, meaning what? And Gil says, real art takes skill and courage. And Oscar says, those are Pam's strong points. And then Gil says, yeah, that's why this is Motel Art.
Okay.
And then we go right into the first song.
Yeah, I remember that episode. That was good.
I was like verbatim. But yeah, and we have other Office samples. So outside of Pam's art show, which we have a couple more samples that we use from that episode, we do use some not episodes. We use some samples from, I almost said Casino Night, but the dinner party episode. So like we use, I think, the entire audio from the cold opening scene just so we can have time to tune, because we have a couple of songs that are in like a drop D sharp tuning, and then we have, I think, for Everyday, I don't even know what the tuning style is, but there's this band Dikembe that I listened to, and I was trying to learn one of their songs, and they have this very cool like tuning style that they use. So when I tuned into that, that's what I wrote Everyday in. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So The Office is your favorite just because you watched it all the time, or what's
yeah, The Office, it means a lot more to me than just a TV show. It is a show that I watched when it was coming out. I think they already had the first 2 seasons, and this is when Blockbuster was still around. But I think they had the first 2 or 3 seasons where you could, buy or rent. So I went to Blockbuster and I rented the first season, which is only 6 episodes. And I was like, oh my God, I love this. But I started watching it with my dad, and we would watch every episode as they came out. And was it two years ago, I got him the complete series on DVD, and because everyone online was saying, oh, at some point, like, The Office is going to get taken off of Netflix, even though it's like the #1 watched show and like rewatched show. So I got him that. I also got, for my birthday, I got The Office, the complete series. So I was very excited about that. But it just has more of a deeper connection. I think a lot of people say The Office isn't funny, which I can understand their point. But at the same time, I think it's more real than other shows. Like, some of it towards the end does get a little bit ridiculous. And, that's some of the things that Michael Scott does. You say to yourself, he would just be fired. Like, there's no way he would still have his job the next day. He would just be fired. But it has a lot of heart. I think people that watch that show, it shapes them in a good way. Like, they can just see awkward situations and look to a camera that's not there and just make a face. Like, I can't believe this is actually happening right now.
Well, I think that he wouldn't be fired. I think that...
Really?
Yeah, because he had his fans in the background, like the corporate guy, David, liked him.
Oh my God.
And so he was
David's a trooper.
Right. So when Charles Minor was mad at him,
yeah,
David was like, no, we're not going to fire him. Instead, he moved Charles, right? So I think, there's something to be said for loyalty. So that's my opinion.
They do acknowledge, or I think BJ Novak talks, when he talks about the show too, and I think also Steve Carell talks about it, but the idea is, Michael Scott said it so many times, but his office is his family. And I think there is truth in that. You're spending, I mean, if you work a full-time 40-hour, you're spending 40 hours of your waking day with other people. Like, there's no way that you don't share things that are outside of work. I mean, you get to know people. Like, some people date other people because they work together and they get to know each other.
Right.
And I feel like it definitely brings the idea of family together when watching it.
Yeah. I mean, friendships develop too and all kinds of stuff. So
Yeah.
it's good. I really think that you're right. That show has a lot of heart.
Yeah.
So what else? Well, you know what? We're almost at the halfway point.
Sure.
So I think we're gonna hold off here for a second
Okay.
and think about what you want to play. We'll do a song when we come back.
Okay.
And in the meantime, I'm going to talk a little about the hearing room. So today we're talking to Ben Bunker, but he'll be back with us in a moment. And in the meantime, I want to mention again, membership at the hearing room is very important. It's $100 a year. It's a great way to support what we're doing. The hearing room is an arts center that does music and does visual art and spoken word, all kinds of arts, you name it. And if you want to participate at the hearing room, that also is welcomed. We are a nonprofit. We are really grassroots because we started off, it was a sole proprietorship, just people wanting to get together to play music. And that's what this art center is based on. So if you are interested in helping us out in any way, whether it's by becoming a member for $100 a year, or you could also offer to just run the door at some event, because we need people just to help out, sell tickets, different things. So it's really a community, and we are developed as a community of musicians and artists who just want to get together and have a location to share. And so everybody shares their music, everybody shares their art, whatever it is, and it's really a great community to belong with. So please check it out at hearingroom.net. That is where you find out all the information about how to become a member, how to participate and try to volunteer for different events, and, how to get on the board if you want to do that. We are just pretty open group of people, and you should become a member in order to become part of our community. So I also want to thank the Greenville Junction Shop. That's Greenville, Junktion, SHOPPE, for their support of the podcast and the hearing room. The Greenville Junction Shop, or Shoppy as I like to call it, is an upcycling shop. They have all kinds of items that you can repurpose for yourself. They get those items from estate sales, garage sales, side of the road, whatever, and they make them cleaned up, and they work and all that good stuff. So you can purchase this from them for whatever reasonable price they're offering, and you can go to Facebook Marketplace to find out what that is. So Facebook Marketplace, you want to look for Greenville, Junktion, SHOPPE, Shoppy. You want to look for the Greenville Junction Shop on Facebook, and also they will have a store that's going to be open pretty soon, and you can go and look at the items directly at the store in Greenville, New Hampshire. It's right in downtown. So please check that out, and it's a great place to go get some cool stuff, so check it out. All right, so we're back here with Ben Bunker, who told me to call him Ben and not Benjamin at the beginning of the show. So what do we have next, Ben?
Yeah, I'm gonna play a live song. So this one is called "I Was the King of This House." It's off of a Bed's album called "Managers," which you can find on Spotify, Bandcamp. I believe it's on iTunes. Um, if you go on the Bandcamp, it has the titles written the way that I want them to be written, which has a lot of um, it has a lot of letters and numbers mixed in. I like just making the titles of the tracks where it's really hard to find them. Um, but on Spotify, I got a message from DistroKid a couple days after trying to submit it saying, "Hey, our distributors don't like what you're doing, so we're not going to put your music out." So I had to then go back and just title them the regular spelling. But this one is called "I Was the King of This House." And it goes like this. I'm going to move a little further back from the mic when I start, but
Okay.
okay. There we go. Let's move to somewhere new. A shift in this scenery is what we need. Anxious as a dream. You are everything you seem to be. And all those denim jackets in your closet, and all those words you can't forget, and colleges with rejected letters. What words will make it better? What words will make it better? And I can show you city lights from an overpass where the worry seems to stall. And you will show me a better life. Remind me we're so small that we are nothing when we're gone. And I was the king of this house once, and how I reclaim it for myself. And you make me feel less broken, like a city light that shines its way through hell. Like a city light that shines its way through hell.
Okay.
I like that applause so much.
Well, it's something we can't hear right now, so might as well. So the when you do it live, you're using an acoustic guitar. Normally, you use electric because you're doing the looping and stuff like that and effects. How did you come up with your pedal board? Because I know that you kind of patched it together yourself. It wasn't like you went and bought this thing. So what was that process like? I mean, that's a lot of money went into that, I'm sure, and a lot of effort into figuring out what to do.
Yeah. I used to have, just talking about the physical pedal board, I used to have, I bought this like hard briefcase, and I made my own pedal board for a while, and then I couldn't use it. It was just breaking apart because I took these pieces of wood, I drilled like blocks in to make like 2 stacked layers so I could put pedal boards on it. I put pedals on it, and then I just threw that out. I think it was like 2 years ago or something. But the pedal board itself, because right now I'm using I'm trying to think of the model. Regardless, so right now I have 2 pedal boards set up, and oh my God, buying pedals and buying gear is very addicting. It's very expensive. I definitely watch YouTube videos on how to set everything up, how everything in the chain should go. And right now, it looks very confusing because I did the wiring so like it's more comfortable for my feet, so I'm not like stepping over or accidentally hitting something. I'm just like looking at my pedal board right now. So if I had an electric set, if I was playing it live, I would be using a Boss Blues driver. I have the Hall of Fame, going into the Hall of Fame reverb, going into a Boss Digital Delay DD7, which then goes into the Electro Harmonics Cathedral reverb delay pedal. And basically those 3 pedals, the Blues driver gives me a little bit of a boost if I need it, but all the others create this nice reverb atmospheric sound. And the Cathedral the Cathedral like reverb pedal, it does create a reverb sound, but it also, you can have it do certain things like create an echo. You could have it create, even my favorite is the reverse on it. So if I'm playing a couple of notes and then I'm sliding up, and so if I'm going like just that little slide, it'll pick up the sound of even my finger sliding on the strings, and it'll bring it back in this reverse sound. It just sounds so cool. I want to like talk more about gear, but I'm like, I get really excited when I start talking about gear, and then I'm like, am I talking too much about it? But so on one pedal board, I have all of just like this, I guess, regular straight effects that I want from the guitar itself. And then on the other pedal board is where I have all the looping. So I have an RC2 with pre-recorded audio, voicemails, things like that. I have the RC3, once again, just has pre-recorded audio, whether it's from like a clip from The Office that I like. And I actually found, when you listen to Managers, the recordings on Managers actually came off of a cassette tape that I found. And I want to say I'm like 5 or 6, and my brother is like, or maybe we're even younger. I'm like 4 or 5. My brother is like 7 or 8, and the recordings are just us like running around doing random things. My brother like trying to talk to me. Also, my brother would do this thing where he would want to record the audio from TV shows. So he would take the tape recorder and go behind the TV and like just hit record. So when you listen to Managers, I also have, I like edited it and like chopped it up, but there's 2 separate recordings from the same episode of Home Improvement. And it's just like an argument that's happening like back and forth, but if you don't know that it's, well, I mean, there's like laughter after the fight or whatever, but it's just very interesting to like have that all on a cassette tape that I just randomly like discovered. And it was really fun to use because there's also like audio of my mom just like talking to us and being like, why did you do that? But like in a, like in a mom way. And I'm just like, oh, oh my gosh. But yeah. So there's all the looping stuff on the RC3 that has that. And then I also have the RC20XL, which is like whenever I do any rhythm guitar, that's kind of like my, I want to say not like a home, but like that's where everything starts is by using the RC20XL. I'll record some kind of a rhythm, and then I'll use one of the DL4 modulators to do a lead, which then I can record into the RC20XL. So like they can play together, and then I could record another lead. I could do like the lead coming back in reverse. And right now I have it set up where all of these loops and live samples and all these things go into the RC20XL, and then out from the 20XL, it goes into a DL4 modulator where I just do like a tap tempo on it, and then I can do cool like modulated effects and things like that. So the whole sound, so like if I was playing the guitar straightforward and just that's all you're hearing on that playback, well, now I'm taking that sound and I can like make it sound fuller and make it sound like it's coming from, I don't know, like coming from somewhere else almost. So it's just really cool what you can do with all of these things, but they're also not cheap. Like I have spent too much money on these things. And I think the joke people usually say is, you bring $5,000 worth of gear in a $500 car to get paid like $20 at a show, something like that. Like you have to love what you're doing, because you may not make a lot of money, but
right. But it's it's great to play with gear. I mean, I love doing it as well. It's I think it's like guitarists like buying new guitars and new gear to go with the guitars, and it can be addictive.
I think Eddie this year, or I think Dan said within 1 year's time, I think that's what it was, but Eddie's gone through 4 amps. He's trying to find the right sound. I hope he finds it. For me, I bought a Vox AC30 off of Craigslist because somebody was going on tour and needed the money for that. So I jumped in. I remember I think I just got paid the day before, and I was like, all right, I'm going to be broke for a while. Because I think he was selling, at the time he was selling the AC30, and it has like a couple of cosmetic things with it. Like it's missing a couple of screws and one of the handles doesn't work right, but he was selling it for $600. And normally I think brand new an AC30 is like $1,200, and people sell it used for like $800 or $900. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get it. I'm going to be poor for a while. I'm going to go get it. I've been using the AC30 for 4 years, and I like it. It's a nice crisp sound. It's also, minus the Bayer, like they use AC30s. I think at one point they switched over to Fender Twin Reverb, or the Reverb Deluxe amps. But yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So, when you perform, where are you usually performing now?
In my apartment.
Okay. When you perform out.
Yeah, that's right.
I know. You knew what I meant.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, we're all performing in our apartments.
I want to start like a bathroom podcast and get like nice acoustics and like have the guests just play in their bathroom.
Well, that's a good idea. It'd be hard to bring the equipment into my bathroom, but
I think I have long enough cables. I think I could run like a 25-foot. I'm like right next to the bathroom. I could just run it down the hall. But when playing out, it feels like it's been a long time, but it really has not. Motel Art, we've been playing a couple shows in Boston. We were able to play at the Democracy Center. We played at Sally O'Brien's. We played over at the Great Scott, which was an awesome show. I'm trying to think of other places we have played. So basically just the Boston area. We played some Massachusetts. I'm saying not some Haverhill. Every time I'm thinking Haverhill, I just say Massachusetts. But we played Haverhill shows. We played it at the Chit Chat before it became whatever it is now. I think is it Moonshiners or something like that?
I'm not even sure. I'm not real up on the Haverhill scene.
Trying to think of other places around. I mean, we were getting at least like 2 shows a month, which was really nice. We also played at the Worthern Attic in Lowell, Mass. That was an awesome show. It was the first time ever being there, and they run shows on the 2nd floor. It is an awesome place. I would highly recommend playing there. I don't know who you would have to reach out to. I'm really bad at networking, and usually, actually, it's been Dan, our drummer, who has sent messages in the group chat being like, "Hey, I got an email or a message from a friend of mine that wants us to play a show," and we're just like, "Yeah, let's do it."
All right.
We did get asked, but it's been postponed. I submitted. And this is before it came out on Spotify or iTunes. I submitted every day for the Boston. It was like Boston Emissions playlist, just to see if it would get played. And I messaged Angel, who like runs the whole page and does the playlists on their website. I think it's just bostonemissions.com. And I just submitted it. I said, hey, like, we're Motel Art, we're from Haverhill, Mass. Here's a song that's not even out yet, but, just here you go. And then they played it in their playlist. And then Angel reached out and said, hey, do you want to do the Boston Emissions Rumble, like Rock and Roll Rumble, Battle of the Bands, which was going to be starting the end of March going into, I think, midway between April. It's postponed. It's going to be July going into August. But it's an awesome opportunity for us. We're going to be playing with 29 other bands, and it's a battle of the bands where we get paid every night that we play, which we're very excited about that. The only downside to doing the Boston Emissions is that during the time of the competition, we're not allowed to play any other shows, which is a bummer, but it'll still be a fun experience.
Right.
We're very excited to do that. We have like a 30-minute, and we're going to have not only someone running the sound, but we're going to have people on stage to help us like load in, load out, make sure everything is ready to go. We have a 30-minute spot. So we're trying to practice even with our songs and with the samples, like getting it to exactly 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's a challenge, especially the loading in and loading out if you have to do it quickly.
Yeah.
I've had to do that before, and you have to have help. But it's hard.
It is
hard to do. So let's do another song that I have here recorded.
Sure.
Which one do you want to try?
Well, let's do Leaving. Eddie wrote and sang on Leaving. So for Motel Art, it is both Eddie and I writing songs, and sometimes I'll sing, sometimes he will sing. He wrote Leaving. He sings in this one, and honestly, like it's becoming one of my favorites because there's a part in the song where it has like this break part and Eddie's singing, but we all like jump on the mic and sing together, and it just makes it a much more enjoyable, fun experience when like the whole band's, really into it, having a good time. So let's play Leaving.
Okay, here it is.
Okay.
It was in front of me when you changed for the worse, and I knew I'd notice it first. Do I know you at all? I swear I thought I knew. You've gone through this so many times, and do you feel at all? I've seen this pain, it's just like mine. This I know. You've gone through this so many times, and do you feel at all? I've seen this pain, it's just like mine. This I know. It was in front of me when you changed your life, and I knew I noticed it all. Do I know you at all? I swear I thought I knew. You're leaving, you're running away from it all. Away from it all. You're leaving, you're running away from it all. Away from it all. It's all of me to change with time. I can't believe I've missed all the signs. You're leaving, you're running away from it all. Away from it all. You've gone through this so many times, and do you feel at all? I've seen this pain, it's just like mine. This I know. You've gone through this so many times, and do you feel at all? I've seen this pain, it's just like mine. This I know. You're leaving, you're running away from it all. Away from it all. You're leaving, you're running away from it all. Away from it all.
All right, so I was leaving.
Yes.
The crowd's going wild. So, so
Yeah.
you mentioned your work life a little bit.
Yeah.
So what's going on with that? I know you were at the bank for a while.
Oh my gosh, I was at TD Bank in Salem, New Hampshire for 4.5 years. And towards the end, I was definitely hating my job. I did not want to be there. And I think it was mainly just like the sales goal aspect. And my manager is always telling me like, hey, you know, we got to hit those marks. We got to hit those marks. And if, I don't know, for folks that haven't done, I mean, they call it retail banking. Like the expectation is that depending on, even if you're a teller, if you're working trying to think of the other, like CSR, like just customer service rep, whatever. There's a certain amount of, and it's made up. It's almost like Whose Line Is It Anyway, where you're supposed to hit a certain number of like sales rep, like dollar amounts. So every quarter they would say, oh, if someone signs up for a credit card, you get like 600 SR dollars or whatever. And then if you open an account, that's like 300. And depending on your title, you had to get a certain goal every quarter. And, you know, I would see the same customers every day. Like, we're supposed to know our customers. And I knew that somebody didn't want something. Like, I knew, like, hey, like, I'm not going to sound cheesy and try to sell you something. I know that you do not want this thing. Or like, you know, hey, we talked about this like last week. I'm not going to keep asking you about it if you said no the first time. So like working at that job after a while, I mean, I loved everyone that I worked with, and it definitely wasn't them. It was just kind of the environment. I was like, I can't do this. But I was in a band. This goes into my new job, but I was in a band called Cat Hugs. And my friend Rachel Ponce worked for a nonprofit organization called Riverside Community Care. And while I was working at the bank, she said, hey, you know, if you don't like your job, like, don't work there and try to find something different. And she said, hey, I work for, you know, Human Health Services. You should just try applying and see how it goes. So I applied. I forget their title for an entry level, but I was a residential staff. I worked at a residential program in Riverside Community Care. What they do as a nonprofit organization, they work with the Department of Mental Health. They get folks that are coming out of inpatient psychiatric units, and then they are referred over to us. They are placed in a residential program, usually with like minimum 4 other people, or at max, there's some programs that have like 10 folks living in it. They're staffed 24/7. We work with folks on everything that they need in order to live independently, and we try to meet them where they're at. So some folks, you know, they might just need help with their finances. They might just need help with ways of coping with stress or anxiety. It's very case by case. I have some folks where, you know, they're really at that point where they could live on their own, but it's just getting them to really have the thoughts in their head that they can do this on their own. And I worked with Riverside for 2 years, and then through contracts with DMH and what DMH could provide, I ended up staying with Riverside up until the end, and then Elliott Community Human Services that I work for now won the contract for the Department of Mental Health. So I'm still working with the same folks that I was working with. It's just under a new organization. But I love it. I love my job.
Yeah.
And I moved up during the transition from being just a regular CBFS is what they called the category, I guess. But I went from being just like a regular entry level to being a residential program manager. So now I actually like run and manage the program with the same folks that I've been working with for about 4 years. And we've had a couple of them transition to other programs or do transition out to live on their own. But a couple of them I've been working with this whole time. But it's such a different dynamic than what I was used to doing. I guess I went from like retail banking to like actually sitting down with somebody one-on-one and being like, okay, so let's talk about, you know, like how are you feeling right now? And what are the things that are, you know, you want to work on the next year? Like, how can we help you do that? And what are ways that staff can even, you know, kind of put all the responsibility on to you, because you need to develop these skills and you need to be able to do things on your own. And I do have my clients every now and again, they will just kind of test the waters and see if I'll do or like go out of my way to do something for them. And I try to have, you know, a very calm presence and be really upfront with them. I have no problem saying no. I feel like I'm a dad. Like, I feel like I am just a dad.
Yeah.
Even though most of the folks that I work with are older than me. Yeah.
Well, sometimes people need help, and it doesn't matter what their age is; they need help.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, did you go to school to do anything like that?
Yeah. I graduated from UMass Lowell in 2015. I had my bachelor's in psychology, and I mean, that definitely helped me when applying for Riverside Community Care.
Mm-hmm.
But I think their minimum requirement is some kind of experience overall. Like, they just want someone who's already kind of working in the field. And I think they said the highest level of education required was just high school education. But having go through UMass Lowell and getting my education in psychology was definitely helpful. And I do want to go back for my master's. I've had many of my supervisors say, "Hey, like, you should just go back for your master's. Like, why haven't you done it yet?" For me, I see the financial piece of it, and I know that over time it will be paid off. But right now, I'm already still paying my loans from UMass, and it's tough. It's tough to make it all work. But
well, it sounds good. It's my wife had a similar track. She became a mental health counselor in the end, but I think she worked for Riverside for a little while.
Really?
So, yeah, for a little while when we were in Danvers. So it's a interesting thing to do. You get to work with people. And as long as you like people, it's good,
Yeah.
So, and that allows you to do your music too, and that's very nice.
Yeah, and I do think that, I mean, it's coming across more and more, but my writing is a reflection of the experiences that I'm having, being very real and honest with the people that I work with. Whether it's a client or even staff, because the job, you're in somebody's home, you're working one-on-one with them, and they're asking for help, and you are trying to find the best ways to develop independence in somebody else. And every once in a while, it's so nice. And I was told when I started at Riverside, I forget who told me this, but they said, just to let you know, sometimes this job is like a thankless job. Like, you could be doing all this work and a client could hate you. But I've had a lot more good experiences where clients, I think the moment where I might just seem even a little bit off or a little bit stressed, they say like, "Hey, it's okay." They're like, "Hey, you're doing everything that you can. I appreciate what you're doing." And it makes the job worthwhile. I mean, also the results that I see, like, people are getting to the point where, they have their life back. They're able to do things that they did before. It's great.
Yeah. Are you having to deal with a lot of anxiety now because of the virus?
Yes. And I'm still going in Monday through Friday. Our program is still staffed 24/7. What I've been doing to really help in this situation, and I've tried it with some of my clients, they understood right away what was happening. One of them watches CNN every day. Even when he doesn't want to, I'll say, "Hey, do you want to watch something that's maybe not as like sad?" And he goes, "Okay." And then he'll, switch through the channels, get back on CNN, and just continue watching it.
Make him watch The Office. That's what you should do.
I wanted to. We do have Netflix set up on our TV. It's just not a show that he wants to watch.
Oh, that's too bad.
I know. But yeah, I've been doing meetings in the morning. So I go in and I have like a conference call with all the other res program managers. We just kind of talk about anything that's going on in the programs, and then I try to get everyone together. And at least once a week, I will order like Dunkin' Donuts for everybody at the program. So I'll say, like, hey, let's all get together. I'll go pick up something, and we'll just talk about like our experiences and what we're feeling. And I've had to really drill into their heads, this is going to be uncomfortable. Like you might end up like upset and agitated and angry, but even if you are feeling those things, I want you to talk about them. I want you to, have an open dialogue, because I think once that goes away, that's when you're going to be self-isolating. That's when you're going to have an experience where you're, physically acting out or something like that. And everyone has been very receptive. The morning meetings we've had with my clients has been really good. And then we have an occupational therapist who's also running virtual meetings in the morning. And some of my clients will sit down, and it's really good just to have those conversations of what are ways to make sure you're keeping with self-care, personal hygiene, your sleeping habits, what are exercises you can do while you're at home. And we're not saying, we're not in a lockdown situation. Like I've told my clients, hey, if you want to go for a walk, that's fine. We're just advising that you're not going into congested areas and that you are taking care of yourself. And I've had so many times I have to remind my clients, because, I think through working for Riverside and Elliott, my ears are just fine-tuned to hear everything in the program. Like I could hear like a pin drop anywhere. Mm-hmm. So I will get up from my desk, walk out of the office and meet somebody like in the kitchen and say, hey, did you wash your hands? And they'll say, yeah. And I'm like, why are your hands dry right now? Like I didn't hear the faucet go off.
That is that's like a dad. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just have to catch them, and then like they'll smile at me. I'm like, okay, but you understand how serious this is, right? Like you gotta be taking care of yourself now more than ever.
Right.
It's so interesting, because I feel that it is, as we've seen, it is going to get worse, I think, a little worse before it gets better. And it's so, I think part of me is still in a disbelief of these things happening, because I haven't had the impact of having, a boss come to me and say, hey, we're going to have to shut down. Like we're going to have to let you go for, a month, 2 months, however long. Being an essential employee, I wake up, I go to work. I'm not doing anything when I get out of work, but I get up, I go to work, and I come home. Mm-hmm. And it's just so weird how quickly things change. Like I'm going into work, I'm wearing a mask, I'm wearing gloves, almost all the time. Like, perfect example, one of my clients wanted to play Monopoly, and I said, great, we'll do that, but we're all going to wear gloves. So, right. The photo of us is like me, the client, and another staff member. Me and the other staff are wearing masks, we're wearing gloves, and then we're like sanitizing everything afterwards. Right. It's just so weird.
There's a movie I just watched that's sort of not quite the same as this situation, but it's kind of a post-apocalyptic called The Girl with All the Gifts. And the end of the movie, they have, because the kids can tolerate the disease, sort of, but the adults can't. So you have the teacher like enclosed in like this airtight container looking thing, mm-hmm. and she's teaching the class through a microphone. And it's just, that's how I feel sometimes, that this is going to change a lot of things, that we're going to be, distant from each other and not the same. So I guess time will tell, but, luckily, we can still be in communication thanks to the technology we have. So that's good.
I don't know what an experience that I had the other day or a couple of days ago, I started looking into getting a webcam because I just have a desktop and I use a TV as a monitor, but I don't have a camera. And I have a work laptop, but I'm very big on, work things are for work. So like, I'm not going to use my work laptop for things at home, but, so like, all right, I'll look into getting a webcam, and I went on
They're
Amazon.
sold out.
Yep. That's exactly it. So I went on Amazon, I think it was like a week ago, and I was looking at them. And I was like, all right, there's one for like $40, one for like $50. I'll definitely get one. And then I bought one yesterday, but all of the basic ones were sold out. So I ordered this like Logitech. I don't even know what it was. I think I got it. I don't know what the model is, like a 930C or something. I did no research on this. I was like, all right, I can get it within a week. I'll buy it. And I hope it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just so wild because I think everything's coming in waves. So the first wave of kind of the panic was everyone running out, buying paper towels, toilet paper, all the cleaning supplies they could, possibly stock up on. And then after that, I think the second wave was like, or during the same wave of like toilet paper, paper towels was like the meats. Everyone was buying out every kind of meat they could get. And then as I was going on,
I bought a bidet, so
I should have gotten one. And that was my thought too. Yeah.
Now you can't even get them, I don't think, for a little while. They're the one I bought. I bought it like the day I knew that we were, when I heard about the toilet paper not being there, I was like, I'm buying a bidet. So I went out and I ordered it on Amazon. It's not that easy to install, but
I've seen the videos where they give you like this really flimsy wrench to install it, and the guy's getting water everywhere.
Yeah, well, I haven't finished installing it yet because we've still got some toilet paper, but I'm gonna have to get a wrench and really get in there and install it. And you also have to dry out the tank. It's kind of annoying.
Oh wow. We did the or I didn't, but Allison did the like toilet paper calculator.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what website you use, but you basically put in the toilet paper that you do have, how often you go to the bathroom, how much you probably use when you go to the bathroom. And we had, because everyone else is doing calculations, and she was saying, yeah, like all my friends are posting, or people are posting like, hey, I went out and bought toilet paper. I have enough to last 250 days. And
that's crazy.
if she, I mean, she's only in the living room right now, but she is immunocompromised, which also makes me nervous because she's working from home and I go into work every day. So I have the potential, to get her sick, and I really don't want that. But currently, she goes through a lot of toilet paper. So she did the calculation for herself, and she went to the advanced settings just because of how often she uses toilet paper. And we had 14 days.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
Yeah. So if people are listening to this, stop buying things unless you absolutely need them. Like I understand that also the mentality of stocking up so you're not leaving your house. Like I get that idea. But it was excessive. The amount of people were panic buying.
Yeah, so we're running a little long, and I did want to ask one more question.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So the question I ask everybody is, what do you tell people who want to get into music on how to start, how to get involved, and how to operate? What do you tell other people?
That is a really good question. So many things I could say, but don't be afraid. And that's the hardest part. Mm-hmm. When you're performing, I think the nervousness is always going to be there. So knowing that is universal when you're writing something new, when you're sharing it with other people, I think you're always going to feel that nervous feeling, and anything could happen. If you're using gear, something could break in the moment. But it really is part of building a community, is really Like the music scene is going out, dedicating time to go to shows where you're not playing. You're going to see other people play shows, like,
Right,
and play
right.
music, and building that community. And you, Aaron, like advertising the hearing room is very important, like having that sense of community. And as I plug in the hearing room right now, so you said the membership was $100 a year, you get a t-shirt and a card, and then it was $5 off of the ticket price for shows.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a steal. Just think about the amount of ticket prices that are online that you buy for an artist that you like. And you never know, like when you go to these open mics, when you go to these community-based shows, like these DIY shows, you know, that person might blow up. They might be this top 40 artist one day.
Yeah, I mean, some of the recordings I have, I mean, I wonder if they'll be valuable at some point. It'd be like somebody's bootleg tape, you know, it's
Yeah.
because I record every open mic we do. And there's some fantastic players. I mean, there's some great people. So, it is important, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I think from my experience, especially when doing open mics, find out who's running the open mic and get to know them. Or even a manager or an owner of like a bar that does open mics or run shows, like get to know the person that runs sound too. Like really just start making those connections, because it just gets bigger and bigger. And a lot of people are really nice. I think that was one of my first things when stepping out and starting to play open mics and like introducing myself. Like I get really nervous when meeting people for the first time.
Right.
And I'm not saying people are mean, but I think my brain was like, oh, like they're not going to like me or some things. But a lot of people are just really nice people that want to hear what you have to say and, you know, want to hear your music. So,
Right. Typically, that's, you know, normal is to try and think, for me at least, to think the best of people and hope that they're doing the same. So I want to play another song, or
Sure.
the Cheap Smiles, I guess, is the last one I have here.
Yeah.
So anything you want to say before I put that one on?
Will there be, after the song, will there be like a time to just do plugs, or should I do that now?
Yeah, we can do it after. Sure.
Okay. Then this one is called Cheap Smiles. It's the first track off of The King of Losing Contact.
Okay, here it is, Cheap Smiles.
You could never be someone outside yourself.
And the crowd goes wild.
I want that sample. We should
All
do
right.
that during our rock and roll rumble.
Yeah, well,
Have a sample of people clap.
you should. There's lots of them online. You can grab them from the whatever public domain stuff.
Sweet.
So you wanted to mention your upcoming project and plugs?
Yeah. So also with Motel Art, I mean, we're going to be playing the Boston Emissions Rock and Roll Rumble. We're going to be advertising the dates when we know when it's happening, but it looks like it's going to be the end of July going into August. I'm also in, check out the King of Blues in Contact, which is on Spotify, iTunes, Bandcamp. I am also playing bass in Sub Punch, which currently Mason, the lead singer of Sub Punch, just put out an album called More Acoustic Songs, the Sofa Swells, which is really good. I don't know if he just wrote these in the last week or so, but they are really good songs based around... I'm trying to get all the titles together, but most of the songs, I guess, have a Seinfeld-ish theme to them. But I do believe the Sofa Swells will be on Spotify. It just takes a while to get onto Spotify and iTunes I'm assuming he's using DistroKid. And then also I play rhythm, lead guitar in the Baja Blasters. And we are working on a new album. I don't think there is a title at this time, but the Baja Blasters do have 2 albums currently on Spotify and iTunes, Siesta, Fiesta, and then also Have a Great Summer. So do check those out as well. Any other plugs? My Instagram is bedbunks. Motel Art has a Facebook and Instagram as well, so go check that out. Give us a like and a follow. That would be great.
Okay, great. So we've been talking with Ben Bunker, and thanks, Ben, for coming on.
Absolutely.
And it was great, and we'll look for more stuff from you. I always liked your stuff, and
thank you.
I think that it sounds like you're doing great work. So
thank you.
And what was the website again?
The website for
is there a way to contact you, or Instagram, or?
Yep.
Is that the best way?
If folks wanted to reach out, Benjamin Bunker on Facebook, Beds. I do have a Facebook page for Beds. Also, I mean, you could just message me on Instagram, which is bedbunks. Also, I think you can message. Yeah, you can message through Bandcamp as well. So if you listen to managers or remitters on Bandcamp, I think you're able to send an email to the artist. And I'm actually working on some new music for Beds. So I don't have a timeline for that. I always say it'll be a couple months from now, and then it never comes out, but soon.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. And I want to thank the Hearing Room, and I want to thank the Greenville Junction Shoppy.
Yes, I want to go. I want to go there when I can.
Check them out check them out on Facebook. I mean, you can see what they have, the marketplace stuff. And it's Greenville, JUNKTION SHOPPE Shoppy. So Greenville Junction Shoppy, and the Hearing Room is always available for people to come enjoy some good music, maybe offer some good music, and art and spoken word and the rest. So we'll be back on in a few days, and there'll be another guest. So everybody have a great week, and listen in next time.
If you start with a dream and share it with some friends, the idea listening room, the hearing room, a place to find a home to play. A listening room, the hearing room, express yourself.